This is going to be a video on the aptitude test. I'm going to go over the test questions, the areas to find the answers on the lathe, and hopefully this visual will give you a better understanding so that we can pass this test, which is very, very important. So the first question is asking, what is the base of the lathe called? And the base of the lathe called is the bed. This is the bed. It is the whole bottom of the lathe. Okay. What holds our metal in the lathe? And that would be the three-jaw chuck. This is the three-jaw chuck, and the three-jaw chuck is attached to what part? And this would be called the spindle. This is the part that spins, and the spindle spinning has the three-jaw chuck attached to it. So that's what we're going to hold our metal with. Okay, going into the 5 operations of the lathe, we have our project here, the gavel. It's got the handle here, and then the head, which is right there. The handle has 4 of the 5 operations. It has facing, where we're going to be turning the outside, the end of this. So that would be facing, doing the end. Turning down the middle part here would be the turning operation, and that's making the diameter smaller. It's making it skinnier in the middle. We also have knurling, which is the diamond texture that's on the handle, and we have threading. I'm not sure if that's focusing or not, but we have the threaded area here used to attach our head through this hole here that also has threads on it. Okay, this is a small example of a threading example. It has a faced end. It has a turn down area. It has the 5th operation, which is drilling. We have that hole drilled there, and then we have an example of threading. So in this little tiny piece of metal here, we have 4 of the 5. The only one it doesn't have is the knurling operation. Another test question is, what part of the lathe moves left and right? And that would be our carriage. Our carriage hand wheel down here will, as we spin this, the carriage is moving to the right, and I spin the hand wheel the other way, and the carriage moves to the left. So that's the main part that moves left and right. What part of the lathe does the compound rest sit on? Well, first we have to know what the compound rest. This is the compound rest. And what part does this sit on? It sits on top of the cross slide. The cross slide has a hand wheel on the carriage as well, and this moves the cross slide away, or spinning it the other way. It'll be coming now towards you. Okay, so the compound rest sits on top of the cross slide. What part moves in and out of the tailstock is another test question. Okay, so as I spin this tailstock hand wheel, what is that part that is moving in and out? And that is called the ram. So this part here is the ram. What 2 accessories can go into that part? Well, we have a live center. It's a live center because the end can spin, and then we also have a dead center. Dead center is just a solid piece of metal. It does not move, and we'll go over the differences of when we would use each of those. Moving along, what else can be inserted into the ram? Well, we have here our drill chuck, and the drill chuck fits into the end of the ram. And we can attach a drill bit. This center drill bit, this is the center drill bit. It's got a double end on it, so if one end becomes dull or breaks, we have another end. It's always very, very short. We don't want to have any flexing, so there is very little metal here that can flex. And this is going to be our first drill bit anytime we make a hole in our piece of metal using the center drill bit. Another test question, what lever or knob do you pull to put it into automatic feed? Well, this is the knob that you would pull to put it into automatic feed, and we don't call it automatic feed, even though that's what it's doing. We call it the power feed. If I go ahead and turn the machine on here with the on-off lever, we now have the machining lead screw turning. So if I pull the power feed out, it puts it into automatic motion. We call this power feed. You turn it off, you just push it in, and that's how we can stop the power feed. If I want to reverse the direction of that the power feed, I'm going to use the LSDL, the lead screw direction lever. Right now it's in neutral, so keep on turning it. You have to rotate the gears to get it lined up. Now that that is turned into the other position, I can turn it back on. And now the automatic feed or power feed will be going in the opposite direction. So now it's going away from the headstock. Turn it off, and then we can stop the machine. To change the speed of the automatic feed, what we're going to use is the quick change gearbox. This is the chart that we're going to be using. Right now, it is set for A, D, 1. So if you look at the chart here, we don't use the first section here, but using this section here, A, D, and row 1, it's going to give me 8 threads per inch. So if I wanted to slow that down to 40 threads per inch, I would set this for C, E, 1. So I'm going to leave the 1 where it's at. I'm going to change this over to E, and I'm going to put this on C. And now, if I turn it back on, it should move much slower, which it is. The carriage is moving at a much slower rate than it was before. Regards to power feed, it can only go in one direction at a time. It's either going to be the carriage turning or the cross-slide turning. You're never going to have both turning at the same time. This is our selector knob for that. This is what's going to make it either go to carriage or the cross-slide. So that you can't do both hand wheels simultaneously. It has to be done one or the other. Okay, continuing. What holds the tool holder? This is your tool holder, and the tool holder holds our tool bits. And the answer to the question is our tool post. It was a little stuck there. So I can take off my tool holder off of the tool post. It just slides right down on top. Pull that back, and we lock it, we're done. What is the top of the carriage called? This is the top. It goes over top of the bed ways. This is called the saddle. Going over top of the bed ways, the shiny spot. And then the front of the carriage would be called your apron. This is where we have all our power feed, half nut lever, the cross-slide hand wheel, and of course the carriage hand wheel. That would be the apron. And most important, I may not have gone over this in other videos, but what do we do before we ever turn on a lathe? And the answer is test it. Just by looking at it and taking an observance, that's really just what I call checking it out. But what you want to do is actually test it. You want to turn it on, and you want to make sure that it's going to do what you expect it to do when you have it turned on. When you turn the power feed, is it going to move the direction that you want it to do, or is it going to go move something else? So you really want to turn it on and do a test of the lathe rather than just doing a check of the lathe. So I hope you have a better feel and understanding of the lathe. It's really not that complicated. When you first looked at this, I'm sure it was very intimidating. But now that you've been watching videos and learning the parts names and breaking it down into simpler sections, you'll just do fine on this test. Good luck.